Welcome, Cancer, to your Gemini season 1 month forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon across the 20th or 21st of May, depending on where you live. The sun returns to Gemini after an 11-month absence. We can talk about the sun in Gemini generally, but what will this transit mean for you personally? On the screen is the exact moment the sun arrives, but all the other planetary influences are going to be influential too. I'm going to unpack that, also share with you some upcoming influences, and by the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding of what's in store around your energy, work, relationships, or finances over the next 4 weeks. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive, but please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. Gemini is the third zodiac sign. It's very much about how we socialize and interact. So it's a thinking and communicational vibe. It's ruled by the fleet-footed Mercury. In mythology, Mercury is the messenger, the intermediary between the heavens above and us mortals on planet Earth. But it's also a sign which has Uranus having recently joined, and for the first time in 78 years, the sun will apply to Uranus exactly the day after its arrival, but they're in touch straight away, and that creates a lot of electricity. We also have Mercury, the ruler, in residence. So on the screen, there's the sun and there's Uranus. But what does it mean for you, all this communicational vibe, because it's in the 12th house? So when the sun goes through the sign preceding ours, it is, if you like, our personal opportunity to reflect on the previous 11 months. And right through to when the sun joins your sign on the 21st, and we have the summer solstice, that's going to be a relaunch point for you. But you may find yourself just being that much more thoughtful and maybe needing a little bit of time to just process some tender issues. But some of those tender issues may come up completely unexpectedly. And I feel that will be the energy of Uranus, which is an electric energy. And the 12th house does have a psychological dimension, even though the sign of Gemini is very much about those fast communications. So you may find yourself actually wanting to talk to someone about an old, painful situation. You may find that your subconscious suddenly delivers an old thought or memory, which could be extremely evocative. But if we look at the other planetary influences, the sun is forging a really delightful sextile to Neptune. And Neptune continues to be the most dominant planet in your illustration because it's right at the top of the northern hemisphere. And that's very much about imagination. It is a spiritual dimension, but it is your connection to the world. Now, if your connection to the world is going super well, the chances are you can be demonstrating a lot more flair and creativity and mesmerizing people. It could be through your channel, it could be through memes, it could be through what you write, it could be what you're painting, it may be to do with music. All of those things can be amplified in a positive way if you dig deep into your inner being and get in touch with your soul purpose. But Gemini is also a sign which can be a little restless. And having Uranus in that conjunction suggests over the next 4 weeks that you may find it a little more difficult to be still, which is what the 12th house usually gives us an opportunity to do. And one of the areas that I think this can show up is around when you're resting. So going to bed at night, you may wake up unexpectedly, even if you're usually a good sleeper. Or you may just find you just have that little bit more nervous energy that may need to be burned off. But what about the ruler of the sign of Gemini? Well, Mercury is linking very powerfully to two other players in a very penetrative psychological way with Pluto. Pluto is very much about transformation. can be about power, and for you, it's in the eighth house. The sign of Aquarius can be about how we all connect, and it can be to do with technology, but it may be around releasing old issues in a very, very intense way. But it could be about where you want to be truly invested, maybe financially, or maybe with someone you're strongly drawn towards. But that Mercury Pluto trine is one of astrology's most penetrative ones. You're going to find over the next 4 weeks that you'll be able to understand situations very fast. And also because Mercury is in a very strong link with Saturn right at the top of your chart, if there are things you're researching or thinking about that you're not quite ready to reveal openly to others, the plan that you're going about producing could actually be very, very well put together. The thinking behind it, but also the structure really coming together beautifully. But if we think about the position of the planets in your sign, they do bring a different energy to that more thoughtful and perhaps withdrawn, reflective energy of the 12th house. Sun, Uranus, and Mercury. Not least that Venus has moved into your sign. A delicious transit, which can revive your desire to perhaps give yourself a personal makeover, but Venus is also forging a stunning link with Mars. And that can have a fantastic impact socially, but also romantically. So, how does this work out with these 12th house energies? Well, it's possible that something may be coming to a close around those very areas, but there may be someone else who's really capturing your imagination in a big way, or if they've not been revealed at the moment, can do so over the next 4 weeks. But you also have Jupiter in its exaltation in your sign in a lovely conjunction with your ruler. So there's an interesting paradox here. The 12th house can be about endings, reflection, the more psychological dimension. The first house can be about where we refresh our personal identity or start something anew. And because Mars is in the part of your chart to do with your long-term plan and can give you a tremendous amount of drive and passion to pursue that, particularly if you're clear about where you're heading, then I feel there's a lot to like. So maybe it is that the more psychological side of your nature is what can be an asset rather than seeing this as a period where you may become more conscious of who's not really got your back. There may be something that you're doing at the moment that you're not sure about, and you may need to go through a period of review. But there are other things going on that are really bright and bubbly. What I would say is that in traditional astrology, the 12th house is said to be the sector of secret enemies. If there are people who haven't got your back, just be aware there could be some machinations going on out of sight. So just be conscious of that. Now, those upcoming influences that I was going to tell you about, well, the first is, I should say, really, at the time of the sun's arrival in Gemini, the moon is in a square with Chiron. So if you are doing something professionally you're not enjoying, that's really going to ask you to think very deeply about it. But then as the sun moves forwards, it's coming into a delicious sextile with Neptune. But also the sun then comes into a T square with the nodal axis, and that's on the 26th, I think. So just be conscious of that because the conversations you have or the thinking you're doing, the North Node is very much about broadening your horizons, but it's also your higher purpose. The third house, Virgo energy, is very much to do with the beliefs you've had in the past that you feel very safe with, but perhaps they've become a bit habitual, particularly with perhaps having a structure in your world that's very precise. And what the sun can do in that 12th house is challenge some of your thinking, some of your communication, and could bring up a degree of doubt. But I think these energies in your sign, particularly with Venus moving to come into a conjunction with Jupiter on the 9th of June, it really is one of the most delicious aspects possible in astrology, particularly in your zodiac sign because of Jupiter's exaltation. So I think something new and fresh is emerging for you. So if you do feel that something's deconstructing in your situation, whether it's a relationship, whether you've fallen out of love a little bit with a business interest, whether it's about a friendship group that you're not quite sure of, there are other new shoots coming through that look really exciting for you. I'm going to unpack those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next, Cancer. But just to say, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope report. You order your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that are played out in our lives so far, get a more intimate understanding of them, but also manage the energies better future forwards. Free, you get your 12-month transit forecast, but also your draconic life soul karmic analysis. If in your natal chart your north node is not late in Pisces or early in Aries, your draconic chart can look very different. And it just helps us to look at ourselves and also astrology in a different way. It truly is fascinating. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your Uranus 78-year solar return Cazimi video, please see that on the screen. If you've yet to watch your Mars in Taurus 6-week forecast, please see that on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it would be an absolute pleasure. I work with people the world over. Please check out my testimonials below. If you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, please sign up for that below and get your early day celestial pit stop. So to summarize, I feel as far as your professional situation is concerned, if you're doing something that's very soul-centered, there's not going to be an issue at all. I think you can keep working towards your goals in a very effective way. If you're in an organization that you're not enjoying it, you don't feel that you can share your imagination, your creativity, I think you're going to go through a deep period of reflection and you may decide to liberate yourself from something that just isn't bringing you any joy. And that's particularly with that Sun-Uranus conjunction. When it comes to managing your financial situation, Pluto in that eighth house and Mercury applying to it is going to give you a lot of extra perception. So if you get beneath the surface and see value that other people don't, I think that can be helpful as well. Having the two planets of fortune coming together in your sign on the 9th of June is really excellent. So through that particular period, whether it's around romance or neat luck, really things could be looking very bright. But in terms of the overall 4 weeks, if you are getting to know someone new, that Venus-Mars sextile is very impressive. But it may mean that you're actually stepping away from something. You may even get to know that new person in somewhat of a confidential way, at least to the time of the summer solstice. It's been a pleasure being with you, Cancer. All the best and look forward to seeing you again soon.